I think that generally for every founder, like even though you've even been in the ecosystem for a while, like that transition from saying, oh, you were an engineer to now you're a founder is still tricky to sort of to navigate that, right? That's how I feel, or that's what I see. And honestly, I think that there's an advantage in being naive. Like there's an advantage in not even knowing. So most of the beginning for me, I did not even know what I was supposed to do or be or say or where I was supposed to be at, right? I was really just doing my thing. Like I was just trying to start a company and like talk to the people that could sort of help the company. So I didn't really care. I wasn't really like, oh, there's this ecosystem. I have to get into the ecosystem. People have to know me. People like I was not about that.
Hi everyone, welcome to Viewed by Vizible. This is your host, Damielo Dumila. Really excited to be here today. We have a really amazing conversation lined up for you folks today. I'm joined by my co-host, Yemi Adigbai, and today we're going to be chatting with Emmanuella from Pennee. Hi Emmanuella, how are you doing?
Hi, Dami. Hi, Yami.
That's so nice to meet you. I'm super excited for today's conversation. Um, so I think we can just get into it. So maybe you can start by, telling us a little bit about, your background and how your transition to technology started. Because I know that, you don't have the traditional background. So I'm sure everyone would love to learn more about how you kind of made that jump into technology.
All right. Okay. So my name is Penny. My name is Emmanuella. Sorry. I'm the CEO of Pennee.
You could call her Pennee for short.
Yeah. So basically, I am the CEO at Pennee. I'm a co-founder there. I basically lead growth and operations at Pennee. What that means is day to day, I'm trying to figure out like what is the next thing that we need to do and how do we keep this business running. Um, okay, so yes, I do not have like a traditional background for like most tech founders or most tech companies. I was not a product manager before. I was not an engineer before. I hadn't worked at a tech company before I founded mine. So what that looked like was that I really came to tech because I was trying to solve a problem and I was trying to solve it at scale. So I used to consult for I used to consult for businesses on the side, but besides that, I also used to work with like my last two jobs were literally working with companies that sort of helped small businesses grow or develop or like that just take them to that next level. One of them was like a fashion company. So we basically consulted and produced for ready to wear brands. That means that you would see us first of all like trying to figure out what's going on in the fashion market, like what is the next thing, what are the sizes you're supposed to stock on, what are the designs that are in vogue right now, like how do you structure distribution and all of that. So we'll be doing a lot of research and we'll be translating that into like consulting for these businesses and then doing like their production for them and then marketing strategy as well. So I was working at that company, which means that we're working with like a lot of businesses. I was literally the manager. That means that like I was just like the next person after the owner of the company. So I was thinking I had to deal with the clients, but I also had to deal with like the operations and everything. And so that means that I was talking to the businesses and I was able to sort of understand where they were coming from. And I was also consulting for businesses on the side. And something that it really exposed my eyes to was the fact that no matter how great an idea a business had, no matter how hardworking the founder or the owner was, money is still a real factor. Like if you don't have money, there's just like a cap to your dreams in a way. So I really started Pennee. Okay, so before I started Pennee, rather, all the business I was consulting with, I just spoke to people in my circle and say, hey, I know this business, they are really, really good. This is what they do, X and X and XY. They need just this little amount. I know you can provide it. I will be like a sort of guarantor for this business. I'll ensure they pay back and all of that. So they will give me the money, and then I will lend to the businesses and ensure that they pay back, basically. So I did it with a couple of businesses. I just thought, well, we can scale this by just putting, like, literally my mindset of tech self was just slapping a website on everything. So I was like, we can do this on a website. So I talked to my co-founder and I was like, I've been doing this for a while now. We're working on something different on the side. I was like, oh, I've been doing this for a while now. I've done it with a couple of people. We can definitely scale it with tech. And so, yeah, that's how we started. Like, I would like to make a joke that, like, the very first website and the very first version of Pennee was designed by me. Like, I literally designed that thing on Canva and I gave it to my, like, imagine doing product design on Canva and I gave it to my co-founder. He'll be like, we can't really, like, this is not really design. Like, so I like get all of that a while to really get into like understanding what it means to work with like engineers, designers, product specialists, product marketers, like just get into the culture of the tech ecosystem.
That's pretty amazing, honestly. Like, I actually, this is the first time I'm hearing your story, and I'm like, wow, like this girl has done a lot. I think a lot of times, a lot of times people think that you need to have this very traditional background. You need to, as you said, be like a PM. But it's very interesting to see how your experience working with small businesses, your experience working very closely with a founder, a manager of a company, was able to like help you gain exposure to different parts that all tied into you becoming like the founder that you are today. So it's really interesting to kind of see that there are actually transferable skills from other verticals that you can actually bring it to tech that can even give you like an edge over other people. That's pretty amazing. So thank you so much for sharing your story. First of all, I'm like, wow, like I'm talking to like a superstar. So I love to learn a little more about Pennee. I've heard about Pennee. I've seen the ads around, but just for listeners that maybe do not know what Pennee is, or that are maybe listening from another country, I'd love for you to kind of just give them an overview of what you do at Pennee and what the goal of the company is, and just all the fun stuff.
All right. Okay. So basically, Pennee is a credit bank for small businesses. So what that means is that we provide a credit account for small businesses. So just like the way you have like your bank and you sort of have to give them money that you will take out, when you open an account with Pennee, we give you money to spend. So it's the other way around. It's like having an account that you can rely on to sort of grow your business. So we don't necessarily say, oh, we're a lending company or things like that, because we're not giving payday loans, we're not giving emergency loans, we're not doing like invoice financing, we're not focused on like financing you right now. We sort of want to build your business with you. So it's like we're providing sustainable capital in the form of credit that you can rely on to grow your business. So besides that, we also offer like cash flow management services, like how you manage the payments that come into your business, how you're tracking that, what does your future growth look like, all of that, helping you with your sales and all of just figuring out the money side of your business. Yeah, that's like an additional part of what we do at Pennee.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. It seems like Pennee is what you need if you want to, really get a 360 view of, your business and get that support that you need to take your business to the next level. That's pretty amazing. So I'm curious to know, like, how did it start? Like, how did you, go from working with a couple of companies, smaller companies, working with a manager and consulting, to actually founding your own business? What led to that?
I was working with my co-founder on a should I say a play project. So like it wasn't really serious, but it was just something that I just thought, I really liked my hair. So I had transitioned to like natural hair like 3 years, like 2016 or 2017. And so and I'm this kind of person that anything I do, I go deep into it. So I had learned a lot about like my natural hair. I was practicing with my hair. I was basically in love with my hair. And so I decided that, oh, people don't have to actually go out to get their hair done. They can get it done in their house. And it doesn't even have to be like a stylist with like like a salon and everything. It can just be anybody who knows how to make hair. Like sometimes people know how to make hair, but they don't necessarily make money from it. So I was like, well, let me make an Uber for hair making, right? So I reached out to my co-founder and we're sort of like working on it. This was like around 2019. We're just playing around it, to be very honest. We're like, okay, can we do it? Can we not do it? Do we want to do it? Do we not want to do it? I'd met my co-founder through a mutual friend. They were like classmates in uni, so we had met together. And so we're just trying to say, okay, should we build it? Should we not build it? There were a number of things that made it really hard to build at the time, because um there were certain things that exist now that didn't exist then. Like we're thinking about things like security, like just certain technology and certain like certain things that hadn't advanced now. So we're thinking about like AI, like how do people determine, like how do they know what style will fit them before the stylist even comes and all of that. There's just a lot of things that didn't exist before that exists now that would make it possible to build our way to build. But when we're just dilly dallying on that, that was the same time I was lending businesses and doing like a personal guarantee for the businesses I was consulting with. So one day I just saw my co-founder that, hey, see, I've been doing this or that thing, and I'm doing it like I'm just doing it by myself, but this is something we can really scale with technology. So that's how we sort of started. And I already mentioned that, yes, I did do the first design with like Canva. I was just everywhere. I just wanted to see it come to life. I also did take, I also did, yes, something really happened to me that year. I read Paul Graham's How to Start a Startup, and like I know
Vlogs,
yeah,
full of gems.
it really entered my spirit. And then it inspired me to also like YC startup school for that year. So I learned a bunch of things. I also met like, so they had like a group. So I also joined like the group of founders, like a WhatsApp group, Telegram group, which was really great. So I just like met other founders and we would talk and talk and talk and talk for hours in that place. But that was like really inspiring in like giving me just to really just build out the product I wanted to build out. So basically that's how we started the company. In like after a month after we had launched, my co-founder was like, we can't deal with your type of design. Like we can't, don't worry, like can't find, you know, and like you don't worry, you don't get it, you're not a designer. So he was like, this other guy, I've been working with him for a while now. We've built a bunch of projects together. I think we should bring him in. So I was like, okay, let me meet this other guy. So I met I met Gideon, who's like my third co-founder now. So or rather our like the third co-founder. So we just like had a conversation. I was like, yeah, it's good vibes. Let's work together and see if it is something that will be a long-term relationship. So really that's how like we started off the company.
Such an interesting story. And it's very interesting to also see how like there was a pivot, right? Like you had this idea initially and then what you actually ended up building was something different. Curious to know if Yemi has any questions.
Yeah, interesting. You kind of started touching on how you broke into the ecosystem, but something I really would like to understand is I understand breaking into the industry is very tricky as a founder, particularly for one who hasn't always been around the ecosystem. How are you able to navigate? So beyond the WhatsApp and Telegram group, are there other things that you found yourself needing to do, other things that you had to do?
Okay, so I think that I'll try to be very, very honest, right? I think that generally for every founder, like even though you've even been in the ecosystem for a while, like that transition from saying, oh, you were an engineer to now you're a founder is still tricky to sort of to navigate that, right? That's how I feel, or that's what I see. And Honestly, I think that there's an advantage in being naive. Like there's an advantage in not even knowing. So most of the beginning for me, I did not even know what I was supposed to do or be or say or where I was supposed to be at, right? I was really just doing my thing. Like I was just trying to start a company and like talk to the people that could sort of help the company. So I didn't really care. I wasn't really like, oh, there's this ecosystem. I have to get into the ecosystem. People have to know me. People like I was not about that life. I was just moving my movement. And also I just think that it's very important to have main character energy everywhere and every time because it does not it prevents
That's on period.
it prevents you from being like from second guessing yourself a lot or from feeling like, oh, you are lesser than someone else. Like just those self defeatist things that prevents you from even getting certain things before any other person does that to you. So I would say that just that was like really helpful in the beginning. But over time, I started noticing that there were all these events and all these things that were happening that I thought were far away from me, but they were happening around me, and I was just not being part- participating in it. I wasn't getting invited. I wasn't even knowing what events were happening. I wasn't getting invited anywhere. Like I was just in my own corner of the world. I did know a number of people, a number of founders as friends, but I wasn't really knowing beyond that. So one of the things that I did was obviously I moved permanently to Lagos, but because like this is where the ecosystem is much more like in Nigeria and maybe even Africa is much more should I say really really active. So that was one thing that helped. Then just being like a very helpful person can really can be helpful to you as well. I'm just somebody who naturally likes to like answer questions, help people, contribute where I can. And I see that for me, doing that for other founders has actually helped me in a way. So like it's easy for me to ask founders for things. And it's also easy for people to just offer and say, oh, do you know about this? Or do you want this? Or do you want that? Because they feel like I'm a helpful person. So that really works for me. To be honest, nowadays I'm not that helpful because I'm actually like sometimes I'm just like really, really, really busy and I forget about other things. But when I was less busy, I really put my time into helping people. And I was not helping people because I thought it was going to pay back. It just ended up paying in one way or the other. Um Also I started going out more. I think I started going out to more events, just to be there, just to see other people. And yeah, that has likely been helpful. Also, Twitter, like the good thing about Twitter is that if you are an introvert, like, oh, you're an ambivert, like if you're not the person that is always like bubbly everywhere, Twitter is great because like you're not even really dealing with anybody. You can just be say your stuff. And yes, I would say, yeah, those things have been very helpful.
So, still just learning around how you navigated being able to connect with people, share with people, and then also build through Twitter relationships. So what was one of the things that you probably learned the most in this state that you think will be helpful for a lot of early founders also just trying to navigate around networking and building relationships, particularly for someone who moved to a new city? So you mentioned you did events, you did Twitter, but still it's easier said than done. You're in a city you've probably hardly ever been in, and ever booming ecosystem with so many people. How do you identify who the founders for you are as a founder? As we say probably 100 times in this series, it's a very lonely journey. So how were you able to identify the people that were the ones for you and the people that you were able to essentially hold hands with through the process?
Okay, so I think that sometimes most people try to be friends with, say, popular people or like people who are ahead of them, and then ignore people that are just like around them or in the same stage with them. And the people who are in the same stage with you are the people who you can help the most and who can help you the most and who are more willing for that relationship. Like if you have to deal with somebody who is, let's say, ahead of you, you literally like you're probably going to need more from them than they would need from you, right? So those kind of relationships, and you're not the only person who wants that person. Like a lot of people try to network up, right? They are trying to like meet like who is up there, or who is, yeah. So those sort of things, like you will get a lot of, I don't know. I mailed this person. Did you reply me? Like you would just be hearing people complaining about things like that because they're really trying to like network up. But if you're dealing with like people around you, like people you can see, people who are in the same stage as you, people you can offer things and they can offer things back to you, that would make your journey less lonely. Like you can say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, and somebody else is like, yes, I'm experiencing that too, and maybe this is how I navigated it a month ago, or this is what someone else told me about how to deal with it, or things like that. Instead of you just being always the one asking, you can actually contribute to these people's lives, and they are more willing to open their hands, their arms rather, to you. Also, so generally, I just think that people should try to network more with. I don't even really like the word network, to be honest, but it's like just try to make like friends with people who want to be your friends, or who you can actually offer value to, and who can offer value to you. Like you don't have to beg, or like, I don't know, like act the type of way. Like you don't have to be a people pleaser to people just so that you can be friends with one high and mighty person, or stuff like that. Also, the second thing that I think that can also be really helpful is how you see people. Like, don't think that anybody is too far. Like I used to think that, oh my God, this person is so far away from me. Like this person is like there and I'm here. But literally, it's not true. It's like 2 or 3 people away from, like almost anybody is like, I think there's like this general rule in the world that everybody is 7 persons away from you. So just imagine like someone in Nigeria, they're probably maybe 2 or 3 people away from you. So it's not that big a deal that you would think that it is unachievable to talk to that person, or that person is a high and mighty God that you can't just even message them or ask them for what you need. Like when it makes sense, not when you're like, oh, can you mentor me, or do you want hey, I admire your work, can I connect with you? Like you're not really saying anything. Anybody who is busy does not have time to be like, you're not really asking anything, right? But like when you have something to ask, or when it matters, I think that you're not so far away that you can like just talk to them. Highest thing they'll do is not to answer you, and you move on with your life. And then just prioritize like people who you can add value to and would add value to you too.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. So key takeaways just being first is focus on symbiotic relationships first. So essentially people that you're not just collecting from, but you're able to give to. And then when you're trying to reach up, you should prioritize being straight to the point and not dilly-dallying, which actually, when I think about it, I've had some of these experiences where someone reaches out on LinkedIn and just asks like the most random thing that really isn't going anywhere, and then you don't feel the need to respond because you feel like you might be going down a rabbit hole with this conversation.
Can you mentor me, boss? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, what does that mean?
So I have it like a lot of people that will say, oh, as a female founder, can you like help me? And like I'm just like, how can I help you? Like I don't even know what you are doing. What do you want me to help you with? So say you own like an edutech company. I don't know anything about that. How will I help you? So if you're not being straight, if you don't know how I can help you and you're not being specific, I am just like, this is a waste of my time. So I guess that's just it.
Yeah. You know, that sentence you said took me back to so first, like shout out to Tioncom for the Female Founders Summit. But we had the Female Founders Summit last week, about 2 weeks ago. And this takes me back to a conversation that one of the panelists had around trying to find value through partnerships. So someone asked about, look, there are certain big brands on continent that everyone tries to partner with. And it's kind of similar to what you said here. And she's like, look, a lot of people come to us. And what happens at the end of the day is we prioritize people who make our work slightly easier and give us a path to work with. Meaning you can come and integrate with us and then your deck says, hey, I'm selling through these guys. But then if essentially you're not making the work of them selling your product easy, it's actually the same thing with reaching out to people. If you're not making it easy for me, like if you've asked to jump on a call and to my mind, I'm not sure what the conversation is about. Like it's a very unlikely call to happen. I think this is similar to what happens for a lot of people because it's just anxiety. Like, what does this person want? Do you want my time? Do you want my money?
Exactly.
I think it also speaks to like being a busy person, right? Like if I'm a busy person and you're reaching out to me and like you get my attention the first time, or you don't really come with substance, then like there's a very, very low chance you're going to get my attention the second time. So you want to make sure that if you're going to get my attention the first time, you're going to come correct and come direct, so that I know exactly what you want.
Word.
So that like I'm just able to like respond to you quickly to remove those back and forth. How are you? Fine. How are you doing today? Good. Like, I'm not there for that, right?
What are we talking about?
Yeah. So like you need to up your chat game essentially. But maybe what's a good or a quick segue to this, just trying to understand still. So for you as a founder, as a female founder, what was your 0 to 1 process? So essentially maybe I understand how the pivot worked, but then once you and your co-founder decided, okay, we're going to do this, what happened next? Like what was on the drawing board? What were the key things that you needed to do? And what were the key things you did first in step 1 before you started to sprint?
Okay, so honestly, like once we decided to do it, like the top thing on my mind was like getting an MVP out. And I also had this thing where I didn't want to like spend a lot of money on starting a company. I didn't have a lot of money anyway, but even the money I had, I was not like looking to spend a lot of it. So I was trying to pull together a team that could contribute everything that we didn't have. So obviously my co-founder was a full stack engineer, and I was like more like a marketing operations kind of person. So we didn't have like that design gap. So I think we got like 2 design people that I tried to get on the, like I tried to, like I pitched to them. I told them about how it was going to be big, this, that, blah, blah, blah. They did join the company, but they were not dedicated. Like one of them, she sort of like, she could not work for free, right? Like it's not like it's a bad thing. She could not work for free. She had bills to pay. She had things to do. So she wasn't giving that dedication. The second person was like a student. So he had like his final exams. He had stuff he was dealing with. There was no dedication. So at some point I had to tell them, Oga, madam, I'm sorry, you guys are going to have to go so that we can focus on what we're doing here. And then there was this other lady that I had brought in. I had met her a while back, and I wanted her to like, okay, we already have a CTO, but you are a great engineer. You can be here and you can be a COO in the future as well. But she did not. So initially she joined, but like a week later she was like, she has other things that she's doing that she doesn't really think she can spend time here. So that was like a week's relationship. With the other designers, it was like a month before we just like it wasn't going anywhere. So they left, and so it was just me and my co-founder, and I was really devastated because I'm like, oh my god, we need the design before we can build. So I just had to say, okay, let me pull out let me figure out the design thing, right? And I tried to design something which enabled him to be able to put out an MVP. So like top of mind for me was just putting out that MVP. And then after that MVP, I wasn't really thinking of employing anybody because it's not like we're not making money to be paying anybody. We had not raised any money. I didn't want to be spending any money. Like I wanted to spend money on myself, not on the company at that point. Like because I had quit all my jobs. I think I was still doing the consulting, but not that much. Like I was just so focused on Pennee that so all the savings that I had, all the money I had was sort of like, how long can this money take me before I go back and start begging my mom for money? That's just what I was thinking about. So once the MVP was out, the next thing I was thinking about was sales. And the way we launched with Pennee was really a peer-to-peer lending model before we pivoted to what it is today last year, right? So initially when we launched, it was like a peer-to-peer lending model where people would give us money and we would lend to businesses. So I was literally just selling. Like I was selling to, if you met me, I will sell to you. Like I don't care if you're a stranger and you tell me hello in the supermarket, I will sell Pennee to you. I was literally just selling and selling. I was finding businesses to lend to. It wasn't really hard to do at the time because I had been consulting for some of these businesses, but I was selling to everybody to give us money to sort of invest in to sort of like lend to these businesses. And then I was also, so I would sell and sell and sell, and then in the evening I'll try to balance out the books, who had been lent to, who needed to pay us, who was delaying, all of that. Like those were top of mind. Luckily we had like the so at that point my third co-founder had come in, so I would also have meetings with him around, oh, this is what I'm thinking. So in fact, my co-founder, I like, anytime I'm cooking an idea, he's the first person I'll call, especially when it's like a product idea, because like he can translate what I'm thinking about to like visually, right? So I would call him, we'll talk about, okay, we need to fix this, we need to fix that, customers are asking for this, this is not like, maybe this flow should be like this and all of that. So I will do that. So like the focus in the beginning was not really, it was really about just getting those first customers and making the business work in the first place. So I think we got to a point where we're now making like, we're making money, right? And we're making money because we're not spending money. Like I would say, we had broken even because some of us were taking their salaries. We're just paying like maybe subscriptions, software, like all of that. There was no cost to the business and we're making money. We're even spending on marketing because I was mostly just selling and selling and selling. So I then reached out to, so I then decided that, okay, now that we have some money, I guess we can employ some people. My co-founder was the only one doing the engineering. I guess we can get like an extra engineer and now we can do some marketing. So let's get someone to be doing like social media and all of that. And then I can focus on the other parts of marketing and all of that. So I think we put out like an application. Almost the way we did that interview, we interviewed like they were going to Google. Like we had like a 4-step process where they were going to take like psychology question, like logic questions on logic and all of that. Then there was a next stage where they were going to do like questions on like the logic questions. I'm just thinking about some of them and they were crazy. And then we did like skill tests, we did a bunch of things like practical tests, but we decided the people that we wanted to work with. But the money wasn't much. So I think I called one of the person who was supposed to be doing marketing and say, hey, we would like to get you in, blah, blah, blah. What is your salary expectation? And the person was like, 150K. I was like, 150K? We can't afford 150K. Oh. Can you take 80K? And the person was like, okay, they'll think about it. So they came back and said they will do 80K. And then the engineer, I think we had asked him like, how much will you take, blah, blah, blah. And he had said 100K. And we're like, we can't afford 100K. Can we give you 60K? And he said yes, he was going to take 60K. So largely for a long time in the company, what people were paid was literally about how much they could negotiate. So sometimes you could have people having like disproportionate, like people doing equal work, but one person earning more than the other. So that went on for a while to like last year when we did standardize payments. But just to go back to the fact was that was like how we got our first employees, right? Just negotiating what we could afford versus what they would accept. And then they came into the company. And then when they came to the company, it was very different. So I had been working with my co-founders and all of us, like we had one mind, right? We're just building this thing and all of that. We're working remotely. Sometimes we'll come to together and stay for hours. It won't sleep off, like wake up, just that kind of work. But now you're working with other people. You don't really have an office. You don't have an office. You don't have so now you have to work with them remotely. And the thing about remote work sometimes, especially for people who are entry level, is that it's hard to define how you work when you're at home. Like knowing that work from home does not mean work anyhow. I don't know how to explain it. So it's like if I'm working from home and someone asks me to come to the bank by 3 p.m., I would just say, okay, I'll come to the bank by 3 p.m. It won't occur to me that that is work hours. Like if I have to leave my house by 3 p.m., then I have to let the people at the office know that, oh, from 3 p.m., I'm going to be out, or I can't, or even tell the person who is asking me to come out by 3 p.m. that, sorry, I can't make it. Can we do this in the week at the weekend or something like that? So that part was just hard. Like I wasn't getting it. Why were people not doing what they were supposed to do? What's happening? What's going on here? So it took me a long time to figure out and be able to like build our structures for how like how we can work, and like what is the, how do you hold people accountable? Is it? I feel like it's really hard. I talked to like a lot of my founder friends, and we're all struggling with like I guess just that part of making people be at like bring their A game most of the time, because you can't always expect people to bring it all the time, but just most of the time. And then oh, I forgot, we had this intern that we employed before the two employees that we had. So we had one intern like that. I wasn't even really, honestly, like I wasn't even really sure why I employed that intern. I guess I just saw a free intern who was like trying to do his internship at his school. And so he was like looking for where to stay. And I was like, oh, okay, come to our company. It just felt like free labor. We're going to pay him 20K every month. Everything I'm saying is Naira. So we're going to pay him 20K every month. I like that's what we're not even taking any salary. So it's like, okay, we're going to pay him 20K every month. What did we like? I was a terrible boss and she was a terrible employee. We're terrible to each other. So yeah, that I think that the internship was supposed to be like 6 months. But after 3 months, I told him that please go. Like, don't worry, just be coming. We'll be signing for you that you're working here, but just go so that I can have my peace. God. So yeah, I guess that's the 0 to 1.
Oh, that's a story, man. I think one thing I've learned is that at the end of the day, as a founder, your vision is your vision.
Yeah.
So it's just you and your it's you and your co-founders that are really running for it. It can be really hard to get people aligned and get people, seeing the vision and putting in the same amount of work that you're putting, right? Because like they just let to get their check and just like. Yeah, go ahead.
It's right for like I don't expect anybody to put in as much work as I would. I think it's unfair to even
for sure
in as much work as I would. At the end of the day, primary thing for me, if I was an employee, it would be my pay. It will also be my growth, but it would be like
right.
I need to get my check at the end of the month. So yes, I get that. It's just
right.
I just feel like part of your job as an employer is also to make sure that even though it's about the check, that the person is able to contribute as much as they can to the business as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's basically what I was trying to get at, right? Like, it just gets a little bit challenging sometimes trying to get people like aligned with the vision and making sure that they're set up for success and all that, right? So, because sometimes I think, at least for me, in my experience, I've struggled a little because sometimes you'd be like, you're paying somebody to do something and like you're still having to message them and ping them and like come on, like I'm already paying you. Why are you stressing me this much? Is what I was trying to get at. Like it's not like you're doing free labor, I'm paying you. So like why are you stressing me this much? Like why can't you just like do what you need to do, right? And sometimes it's just very hard for you to understand that this your vision is your vision. No, you have to just like stand correct and just like align yourself. Yeah,
particularly interesting that you started scrappy. You tried to build structure the first time and then it didn't work, so you had to kind of go back to scrappy where it was you and your two co-founders till you got to a point where you then started to build out a team. And I think this is something some aspiring entrepreneurs kind of struggle with, where people want a perfect day one, where you come in, you want everything to work like clockwork, and then sometimes if it doesn't, it pushes you back. And this actually reminds me of one of my many entrepreneurial exploits where
Many. That many is many. If you know, you know.
team, and then essentially we had the engineer who was meant to build the mobile app because this was a mobile platform, and then everything else was done. Dammy was actually part of this process, coincidentally.
As you're saying,
Everything was done like months ago. The technical team. So technically, everyone was meant to be a technical co-founder, but like some of us have not written code for a long time, so we knew we didn't count as technical co-founders.
Yeah, I mean, that's your song.
So the technical co-founder was CTO, then was a back-end guy. So most things back-end were done. And it was essentially just for the front-end guy to just give us all the shazaz, let the users have something they can interact with for the MVP. And this was the only paid member of the team, by the way. Everyone else was pro bono. And this guy just stalls for months.
Yeah.
And then maybe we should have gone back to being scrappy.
Yeah.
But we didn't. And then it's interesting that you went back to scrappy, and then when you got to the point where you had...
I still made that second, like I still made that same mistake when we pivoted again. Like
it's okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
it's part of the process. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's all learning, unlearning, relearning.
Yeah, as long as you're, I think for me, it's more about agility, being able to move quickly, like being able to say, okay, this is not working, and then we strategize, and then go again, and then we strategize until you get it right. But,
yeah. So now, just trying to understand, you started selling first your company to potential co-founders who you got. Then the next thing, you started selling your product to a lot of SMEs and people that had money that they were willing to push into the P2P lending model. The next person you had to sell to obviously was investors. And would like to learn a bit first about how this started. What was the process like? How has it been? And then maybe also if you can just let us know where you knew it was.
Drag him, drag all of them.
Please, hi guys, this is an investor-friendly podcast. We like investors here. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, blood.
Anyway, so honestly, like the first time, so at the point where we like started, we had an MVP, we were selling to customers. I had drank like the YC Kool-Aid. So I was like, the next thing is investors. Like, I didn't even know why we needed to raise. It just felt, okay, let's raise money so that we'll have money to be able to do things like pay salaries and have an office and all of that. Like, there was no real, I was like, okay, we'll do marketing, but like, there was no real, like, this was not a thing of, oh, we need this money, this is the strategy that we're going to take with the money and all of that. It was just, oh, the next thing is money. Just the same way people would just say, oh, the next thing is marriage or the next thing is kids. So that was just it. Like, the next thing is to go and raise money. And then I also, at that point, I didn't know anybody in the ecosystem. Like, I didn't even know there was, like, I just found out, oh, there's an ecosystem. These are the people you raise from and all of that. It was all new to me. But that's why I said again that something that is very good is naivety. Like, I just started sending, if I find your mail and I know you're an investor, I'll send you mail. If you like, reply. If you like, don't reply. But I will send you that mail and I'll send you that deck. So I was just sending mails to everybody that I could find that had that, and I would send them a deck, right? And then someone replied. So I actually sent a mail to Victor Asemota, and I think that he's like one of the people that actually replied. I don't know if his reply is just typical investor talk. I don't even know how active he is at investing right now, but I just sent it to him because I heard he was an investor. And he just said, oh, I'm not active. I think he said he was not investing in like first time founders or like new founder or like new companies, just something around that at the time. And I was like, oh my God, I got a reply. Hold on, was a negative reply. I was just like, so I was elated about getting a reply. But then I tried to raise from like September, October, November, December. It was not happening. I was just tired. And And then I think I spoke to someone, the person was like, okay, I can help you raise money, but you have to give me like 1% advisory shares, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, 1% for what? Like, guy, I don't understand. Like, we won't do it, right? So I didn't take that money. I just said that we don't even really need money, to be honest. We're not paying ourselves salary. We're not using money for anything. So I said I was not going to raise again. And then sometime in just before the okay, no. So sometime in 2020. So that would be just before the pandemic started, yeah? Yeah, I think so. So I don't know if I'm mixing dates, so I just hope I'm not missing dates. Okay, but at some point, yeah, so that was just before the pandemic started. And then I started getting analysts from some of these VCs reaching out, Ingressive. I know I had applied to venture fund a long time ago, and then they replied. So I was just getting all those people reply me. I think really that was during COVID, and they'll reply and ask that, oh, let's schedule a call. So I was feeling myself. I was like, okay, we have more than 100 active users. We have this number of users signed up on our platform, blah, blah, blah. Like, to me, those were just all I needed to say, right? So I'll get on calls with these people. But that's like storytelling. That's talking about like what you're trying to do and where you're going. That thing was not there, and I didn't even think that it is really there right now. Probably maybe is a continuous learning journey, right? Or maybe I'm really just bad at storytelling. But at that time it was zero. Like I was not even thinking about it in that sense. It was just really flat. So obviously those things didn't come through. I remember a particular investor that said, oh, instead of doing this P2P model where you're lending to businesses, why not just pivot and do like a piggy vest or carry wise, since you already know how to get people's money, like just take this thing to a custodian and keep it there, buy treasury bills, you don't have to deal with the risk. And I'm like, I started this business because of the businesses that I'm lending to, not because I wanted to save people's money. Right. So I wrote a very long mail back to that guy, like we will never do it. This, that. I was just very, I was very, I don't even know what's the word now. I don't know, it's very
Passion.
So the passion was plenty. I tried to tell the guy that it's a mistake. You have to invest enough now. And if you don't invest, like I was just very, like I wrote a lot of things. I wasn't insultive in any way or insulting rather. But I was just like really trying to make a case for this is going to be a thing and we have to give us money. But the guy didn't reply, which is fine. Anyway, I wasn't really actively raising at the time. People were just reaching out to me. So once they came with their nose again, I was like, I'm on my own. You came to meet me. You're still telling me, no, I'm not doing it again. So I didn't want to raise money for a while till towards the end of 2020. So at that point, I was just trying to get into like, I think I was just applying to like multiple random accelerators. Like it was not about going to like the accelerators. I just wanted to see, okay, was there something that I didn't have? And this is something I should have mentioned in building like a network, right? Or like meeting people. Those small local or whatever accelerators that people call it, they can be really, really helpful in finding connections if you have no connection. Like they can be really great in building a network. They really helped me. I went to She Leads Africa. They had like this high growth coaching program. I joined it. I was in 3 accelerators at some point. I was doing so the She Leads was there. I was at Standard Chartered high growth coaching program. Then I was at financial services innovators. So like they had like an accelerator. So I think I did them like 2 consecutively. Like I did them like back to back, but joined together in a way. Like so I was doing 2 at least at each time. And then there was like a short period where I was doing the 3 of them. And they really helped me to connect with other people. Sometimes some of the things they also did was help to like reinforce some of the things that I already knew. So I wasn't necessarily learning any new thing there, but it was like that reinforcement of this is what you're supposed to, this is what you're supposed to do. This, you should be doing this thing, but you're not doing it, right? And also just meeting like other founders that were trying to like get off the ground. Those were like really helpful things. Some of the friendships that I made in those accelerators have like been really impactful in my life and are like lifelong right now. Like I'm tight with those people, right? Some of it were also just I also got like my very first check came from a mentor that I met at the financial services innovators. So I wasn't even really raising, but they were like, oh, put your deck together. There's going to be like a demo day. There's going to be this. There's going to be that. So I said, okay, well, this raising thing again. I started it. I had already collected money from She Leads Africa, because that one was like a grant and you just had to pitch, and I pitched and I won the money, so I just took it. So I was not really in the mood for raising, honestly. Like that's I was not in the mood. But because of like the whole FSI thing, then I put together the page. And one of the things that it does is that it sort of helps you to start thinking about how investors think, right? Like, what are you really building? Where is what you are building going? Where does that fit in the world right now? And where does that fit in the world a decade from now? So it's just those things that began to change about how I was thinking about the company, and change how I talked about the business to investors, right? It was no more like mechanical throwing figures here and there that it's not even giving, right? So so after like the FSI program, I didn't really take any money from the investors from the demo days. Some did reach out, but I didn't really take any money from them. But then one of the mentors there, who was also a founder of another company, of a financial services, of a fintech company here in Nigeria, we then started, like, we became, he took interest, right, in what we were building, and then he wrote the first check for us and did an intro to someone else to like write like a co-check. So that's how we got the first check. And once we got the first check, I just realized we need to raise money. So that was really, yeah.
So you said once you got the first check, you realized that you needed to raise money?
Yeah, that we could be more.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. So I just realized that, we could be much more. And raising money was not something that was far-fetched. Like, the thing is that I had thought like raising money is not for everybody, and raising money is not for me, and all of that. But that was just validation that there's nothing wrong with you. You can actually raise money. And then I just realized that we can be more and do more if we had some money in the pocket.
But maybe just to learn a bit more on your fundraising journey so far also. There are a lot of contrarian views around the perception of local investors versus global investors in markets, investors who aren't in market, like non-African and African investors. Can you just share maybe high level what your experiences have been? And this could be a good, a bad for both ways. And then considerations that, so what led you? Yeah.
Sorry, I mean,
Maybe a pro and a con would be a better way of framing it.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I'm not saying name bad in. We don't investor shame here. It's not one of the things we do. Else you want to.
We do investor shame. We investor shame Yemi. So, and investors like Yemi. I'm not joking, no, Yemi. If I need money, you give me money. Sorry.
Hey.
Emmanuella, please go ahead.
Okay, so anyway, so one of the things that is great about local investors, or I would say local in quotes, right? Investors, is that they can be really helpful because they have a lot of like on-ground connections or on-ground experience or insights, maybe even from other companies, other portfolio companies, stuff like that, that can be really helpful. So they can connect you with companies on ground, navigating regulation, stuff like that. It is, I think that's like a really big pro about like having local investors. Also, something is that if you go first for global investors, they're always going to like ask like, okay, depending on your profile though, like there are different things happen to different people. There's no hard and fast rule. There's no rule book. But like, it's like who on ground? Like you are coming to us here, but who on ground there has given you money? Like who knows you? Who supports you? Right? So I think that it's never a bad idea to take money from good investors around you. what would I say is like a pro for taking money for investors outside, and especially in places like Silicon Valley and the US, is really around things like follow-on rounds and how big of a portfolio the fund is managing. So if you notice, a lot of funds in Africa, in Nigeria, that I really know about are they're not really large funds, and there's just like a cap to how much a fund can give a company based on how much it has. Like a fund is not going to give you all of their money or 10% of their money or things like that. Like there's a percentage that they can give out, and some funds even reserve a certain percentage of their fund for follow on with their portfolio companies. So it's like there's a cap to how much they can give you really. And so if you are really looking for like deep pockets, then deep pockets are mostly outside the continent. So that is the real advantage of like connecting with or like taking money from like guys outside the continent. It's really about like the pockets are deep, so you can know like your Series A, your Series B, your Series C. There are people who would give it to you. It's just really hard to find like people raising Series B, even Series A that are led by funds in Africa here. Obviously, there are funds like TLCon that can do like a Series A, but like you start
Name drop, guys. Name drop.
you start getting, but there are not a lot of them. And then by the time you start getting into Series Bs and all of that, you don't really have like a lot of those guys around in Africa. So I would say that is like that's like the real advantage of taking money outside the country. Also, like sometimes people outside don't really get the context of the business that you're trying to build. So it might be difficult really trying to explain to them that, oh, I can't really build like just saying that, oh, just start a credit card company. It's not like, this is not the US. There are reasons why like cards might be more expensive. There's no even real like unified credit system. So by the time you start breaking all those things down to them, it's not really, the business is no longer that attractive to them, right? Versus if you're talking to like a local investor that gets it, like as you're talking, they're like, they can feel you because they're seeing it. So that's another thing. Like it might be easier to talk to like local investors versus global. Lastly, I would just like to say that like the thing about global investors that they are really fast. Like they are not wasting your time. They're not faffing around. Like if they're not doing, you know they are not doing. They are not going to come and be telling you that they are doing, and then or they will just be dilly-dally, wasting your time, but trying to use you to research like a company they want to invest in. They don't do that. Like, and they won't string you along. You just know that, oh, sorry, we cannot move on. You have seen your email in 2 weeks' time. But here, 1 month, you can still be asking them, what are we? So are we going? Are we not going? Who are we? Where are we? Things like that.
So much, Jen. This is so great. Right now, I'm just wondering, what your plans for the future are. You've come a long way. You've built this really amazing product. So what's next? What's next for you now?
So I would say we've not even like scratched the surface with what we really want to build at the company. So I guess that in the next like number of years, I'm still going to be here doing more for small businesses and beyond Nigeria. Like where else? Who else needs us? Where else needs us? Like just being about like fulfilling the dreams of small business owners.
You heard it here first. Pennee is expanding to other African countries.
Yeah.
Anticipate. That's really amazing. I think, the sky is literally the starting point. So I'm really excited to see, what you folks, build and the amazing things that, you would do in the future. I think you're welcome. Just being a little reflective or introspective is the right word right now. When you started in 2019, there were a lot of hiccups, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of things that you had to overcome. So looking back right now, what's one piece of advice that you would give to 2019, Emmanuella?
It's really just one advice, and it's going to be stay scrappy. Like, stay scrappy. just stay scrappy. Like, I don't care, stay scrappy. Like I'm just going to drum it into my head 1 million times that I need to stay small and keep on thinking about building these stacks, like stacking the blocks rather than just wanting to paint the house.
In my mind, yeah, for some reason, I was expecting the advice to be meet TME earlier, but
I
guess
think
it
I'm pretty sure her life would be much worse if she had met you earlier. She's living very well. She's having a really great life because
I
she
like
did not
this
meet
kind
Yemi
of
earlier.
shade.
As someone that met Yemi earlier,
but
as
yeah,
someone that met Yemi earlier, I would say that that's my testimony.
yeah.
Like,
Emmanuella, maybe just
I mean, anyway, I see, I want to see them in there too. Like, I always want her to be around so that she'll be giving you.
yeah.
Your wish is my command.
And then
Yeah, we need to find a handbag to put me into so that I can follow you everywhere. For the people,
yeah.
that's what the people want.
So back to the course. Emmanuella, do you have any final thoughts maybe for aspiring founders or founders who are still at point zero and trying to grow towards one beyond being scrappy?
Yeah, okay. So I would say that it's just do it. Like Nike, like don't overthink things. It's really not that deep. Like mistakes would happen. Mistakes should happen. The most important thing is that you're learning really fast and you're reacting really fast to what you're learning, and you're reacting rightly to what you're learning fast. So I would just say that, like, do things, like, come out, make those mistakes. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to, like, be cringe. Just do it. Like, do something at least. That's what I'll say.
This might actually be like in line to be our catchphrase. Build, just do it. Yeah, but thanks, Emmanuel.
Please, oh. I don't have money for Nike. Please, oh. Nike. But no, thank you so much, Emmanuella. This was a really great conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed like learning your story and just learning more about like how you got to where you are today. Thank you so much for sharing with us.